Thank you very much for that. I'm happy to take any questions, comments on that report. If not, may I then turn to the Chief Executive's report. Simon, over to you.
Thank you, Malcolm. You used the phrase choppy waters. I was going to say it's been a complex and intense period since our last board meeting, but I think choppy waters, if not white waters, kind of probably better captures it. Obviously the national stuff, but also a lot of things the NHS has been having to get to grasp with as well. Obviously we've had the Brexit referendum vote since last time, and so we're setting up an NHS Brexit unit in NHS England to ensure that as the negotiations on the terms of Brexit take shape, the NHS's interests are properly represented there. We take account of both any opportunities that might present, but also ensure that on things like protecting the ability of the NHS to continue to benefit from our international employees, our employees from the European Union, that is in hand, that we make smart decisions about medicines licensing and the life sciences industry in this new world. We look at whether there are opportunities for more flexible procurement arrangements, and we ensure that as we, quote, take back control on things like public health measures and regulations, that is an opportunity used to enhance the work that we want to see on obesity and other public health threats. Secondly, the widely noted reset moment, so-called, occurred last Thursday when we and NHS Improvement published a set of actions that will be taken across the NHS this year to ensure that the National Health Service lives within the funding that Parliament has allocated us for 2016-17. As part of that, as we previously discussed, we have allocated the potential of 1.8 billion to NHS trusts linked to trust-specific improvement trajectories that Matthew, I think, will talk a bit about in his performance report, which replace the fines regime for this year, control totals for individual trusts and CCGs with step-in action by ourselves for those CCGs that have been struggling against the key goals that they've been set and as measured in the 2015-16 CCG assessment framework, the results of which we published as part of the reset last Thursday, and then various other financial controls layered into the system, including much tighter oversight and controls on the use of interim managers in CCGs and CSUs to bring those costs down as well. Thirdly, in addition to Brexit and the NHS reset, we have collectively been using July for intense discussions face-to-face with most local NHS and local government leaders across the country on how their services and transformation plans are shaping up. These, as you recall, are their local implementation plans for the 5-year forward view, what the 5-year forward view will mean in Lincolnshire or Leicestershire or Lancashire. And progress has been really very substantial, actually, since we had these last face-to-face conversations 2 months ago. It's fair to say that the size of the challenge and the degree to which people have collectively mobilised was at different places when this process got kicked off, but most people have moved a very long way in a short period of time. We are aiming to have well worked up financial propositions in September, and then to be able to agree most of the SDPs by the end of October. That in turn links to the fourth point, which is that in response to requests from across the front line of the NHS, we are bringing forward the annual contracting round, making it a 2-year job lot, so 2017-18 and 18-19 combined, and the aim is to have that wrapped up between October and December so that people have figured out how they want to divvy the money up locally and then can get on with a much more profound job of actually redesigning and improving services and care from January onwards. The specifics of that will be published in part through the tariff engagement document, so-called, which we'll be getting out in the course of the next week. and without spoiling all the fun, that will aim to ensure stability and predictability in what the tariff regime looks like for next year. We will, as previously signalled, be proposing moving over to a more specific way of tracking tracking costs through the so-called HRG 4+ currency, better reflecting the costs of more complex care. We will be proposing adding specialised service top-up payments that have been worked on intensively with the providers of tertiary specialised services, particularly for cancer, cardiac and respiratory services. And to the extent these improvements in the accuracy mean volatility in the reimbursements for individual providers, we're going to cap that at no more than 0.5% a year, with consultation proposed on how we do that. We're also not proposing introducing a marginal rate for specialised services in 2017-18 or indeed 18-19, and we will be promulgating in due course a national option for people to use an alternative to click of the turnstile counting on their emergency volumes if that's what they want to do. So I think we think this goes with the grain of what people are looking for in terms of tariff. At the same time, in September, we'll be publishing proposals on Sequin, the national standard contract, the business rules, so that really people have got predictability as to what the next couple of years will look like. They can get that out of the way, and then, as I say, get on with the more fundamental task of implementing the forward view locally through their STPs. And then the last point I should just note, Malcolm, is that since last time we have continued to make good on our commitment that for NHS England this year would be a year of a shift of focus from strategy to implementation. We've got the blueprints we know we need on cancer and mental health and learning disabilities and urgent emergency care. It's sleeves rolled up. It is indeed sleeves rolled up, very literally sleeves rolled up, focusing on the implementation. And so we published the implementation detail on mental health, Claire Murdoch, Tim Kendall, the most granular description of where the money's coming from, where the extra workforce is going to be trained, how we will deliver the expanded services that we've seen at any point in the history of mental health services in this country. And we will be doing the same on the other areas as well. And Arvin today, later in this meeting, will be talking about some of the immediate steps we're taking on support for general practice, the urgent support that GPs need as well. So I think we're sort of going all guns blazing against a backdrop of complexity and intense scrutiny of not just the NHS but the entire public service.
Great. Well, thank you very much for the report. Comments, questions from members of the board? No, I think they're dead impressed, and I think many of the issues you've raised we're also going to be developing.